remember, we are recording this, it's going through cable, channel 6 as well, recording into Zoom, and also going into social media. If anybody wants to record, just let us know so we can tell everybody. That's about it. Now, to start, I'm gonna have everybody stand up to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. In our agenda, number 1, we have the discussion with members of the Board of Health and the Animal Inspector on the proposed right to farm bylaw. Anticipated vote. You got anything for us?
The document for you is in front of you. Basically, the reason that we're going after this is because we had.
And by the way, you're from the Board of Health, right?
I forgot to announce my name.
Sorry, I didn't mention that.
So the intent of this is just to make sure that everybody in the community is treated fairly when it comes to animals and farmers. Currently, well, since I've been on the board, we've had issues with complaints on roosters and other animals overpopulating properties, complaints from neighbors, farmlands and odors and things like that. What the Right to Farm program does, it gets rid of all the nuisance complaints against farmers, against people who are doing any type of agricultural work, husbandry for farm animals, or anything like that. It addresses odors, smells, dusts from farming, noises, odd hours that farmers have to operate equipment, stuff like that, that people may often complain about. It also addresses, it defines everything, it gives a definition to what is allowed, what isn't allowed, and it's basically taken right out of Commonwealth Article 97, the general laws of Massachusetts. Most of all the, I'll say all the communities around us are right to farm. They really don't use it right now. And like I said, we've been having a lot of issues with complaints, nuisance complaints. Roosters crowing, people complaining about it, driving them crazy. Other issues with animals or populating properties. Other issues with waste from the animals leaking across into another person's property. They're leaking into wetland areas, etc. Which can't do. So this basically lists everything that needs to be done, spells it out so there's no guessing on anybody's part. There's rules to follow. There's a system in place. When you read through this, it defines what the steps are. It defines what each person's role and responsibility is. If you're going to have an animal, if you're going to have a farm, how another outside person comes in, they want to buy a piece of property that's for sale. The realtor has to be upfront and notify them that this farming property that's next door in the neighborhood has this type of operation going on, whether it be agricultural, animal husbandry, whatever it might be, is been in existence, it's going on in this, you're moving into this area, you're going to have to put up with and deal with odors, dust, noises, animal sounds, whatever it might be from that particular operation. When they can't file a nuisance complaint, if they want to file a complaint, they can file it with the Board of Health. Board of Health would then, there's a process to kick that out to the Select Board. And the Select Board would address that with the complaint. If it doesn't get solved, that would be the Board of Health. There's also a section in there that covers the addressed should there be something that is necessary to address. So it's a whole program in and of itself. It's basically the same program that the state uses. And all the other surrounding communities have basically the same program. And we're just trying to play catch up with because we're dealing with all of the issues. And we can't really give an answer to anybody because there is no answer. So with this in place, we have some pathway to follow to get the situation resolved in a timely manner and in a hopefully a manner that pleases everybody. Then you have a dispute, resolution of disputes in here, and there's also a severability clause that separates any legal authority from the town should somebody come and try to sue the town for whatever. So it's all part of the program, and again, this mirrors pretty much the state's program. And we're just looking to adopt it, get it in place for a bylaw for the town, so we can protect not just the farmers, not just the agricultural people, not just the animal husbandry people, but people who are living around it as well.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good thing. So this is a proposing a bylaw that we're gonna have and support and go through a town meeting?
Yes, this would ultimately have to be approved at a town meeting to add it into the bylaw.
So this is not a zoning issue?
No.
No.
Okay.
There is a second phase to this that we're looking at addressing. Jim has a copy of it already, that's going to have to be reviewed. That part does address all the zoning for the different sections of the town. You know, the village doesn't allow this, you have whatever this section of town. So that's all addressed in the second part of this.
Okay, all right, that was one of my questions.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go that way. So eventually we'll end up
In there.
in there if approved at a town.
Yeah, if it's approved, it goes into the bylaws, then we have a method moving forward to address.
I really like the sentence you said, we're trying to catch up. I think we
Yeah,
are.
We're way behind.
Yeah, we are behind. Any questions, David?
Yeah, I have a few, but we should probably hear from the animal inspector first.
Okay.
Hello. Can I stay back here?
You can,
Okay. So we absolutely need this bylaw presented to the town, because like it was mentioned, the people who move into this community need to know that we're farm friendly and that their neighbor could possibly get some animals, and that's well within their right. My biggest concern is this other packet that I was handed, which something like this that's talking about the amount of animals and stuff and that can be had per acre, and then there's also something that here that mentions that we need a permit for roosters, something like that, scares me, because right now I'm the one who ends up with all the roosters because I can't stand to see them out there. There's nowhere to put roosters. So I have 4 roosters right now. One of them is actually ours that we got, and the other 3 are roosters that have been dumped, and I have nowhere to put them. So my fear is that if we start, it says in this second packet that if there's complaints, the permit for the rooster could be revoked. And that makes me, as someone who deals with constant neighbor disputes, mostly with dogs basically, sometimes cows, that makes me a little fearful, because sometimes when people don't get along, they will use each other's animals and make complaints, and then what am I gonna do with these roosters? So that's just something that I saw. Also, I think that there is some trouble in the village district with people who have chickens, because if you have chickens, the chicken feed, it does attract, things like, mice and rats and everything, so that is an issue. My fear is that there are not a lot of communities left that allow livestock, and that's such an important thing for people who want to do it. So I'm just hoping that as a result of that there can be limitations on it, but like not banning it. This first packet here that mentions it mentions disputes for the right to farm. What would happen if there are disputes? Section 5, resolution of disputes. It's the first sentence says applicable only in communities that have agricultural commissions.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I know that's very difficult to fill boards here in town, and these positions, but I think that might be something. I've spoken to a lot of people that would want to be involved if there's any kind of bylaws placed on livestock. I think there would be some interest in filling that, and I think people who have experience raising animals, I know a little bit from doing the barn inspections each year, but I am by no means an expert on what size is, truly appropriate. We can go based off of other towns and what they do, but if we had something like that to resolve disputes and someone knows what is, normal with raising raising livestock and what needs to be fixed, I think that would be a great idea to have our agricultural commission. So I think this is definitely needed. The town bylaw for us becoming a right to farm community. I just hope that the bylaws that are put in place and the restrictions are still with us supporting people raising livestock in a humane manner if they choose to.
Mr. Ferrer, and all this goes to law to check?
So what will happen is that if the board wants to move forward and ask me to have town council review this, then I can have town council review this and prepare this for a potential, special town meeting.
Do you have anything?
How many farms would be covered under this? Current farms?
All the farms that are in the community right now, and any new ones will be covered under the right to farm program.
Okay, so I guess so what is a farm then?
Farm is anything that is, well, their definition for a farm encompasses all activities including but not limited to operation, transportation of slow-moving farm equipment over roads within the town, control of pests including but not limited to insects, weeds, predators, and disease, organisms, and plants and animals, application of manure, fertilizers, and pesticides, conducting agricultural-related education and farm-based recreational activities, agritourism, processing and packaging of agricultural output of the farm, operation of processing and packaging, operation of farmers markets or farm stands, maintenance, repair, storage of seasonal equipment, apparatus owned and leased by the farm owner or manager. It just goes on and on. It covers the whole farming operation.
So if I go and get 10 chickens or 2 goats, I'm not a farm, right?
It depends on how you register this. You could be a backyard, what do they call it?
Hobby farm.
Yeah, hobby farm. And you'd still fall under that regulation. You would be protected by the right to farm program. Just as your neighbor, if they had any opposition to you having those animals, you would have to come up with this position would have to be developed after a dispute is filed, because one person didn't want this, whereas the other person wanted it. Hopefully, under the regulations, we come together with a reasonable, amicable outcome.
I guess I see a problem in the village in the residential zones.
There is, and that's addressed in the second part of this, which you guys don't have.
Okay, all right. I mean, I guess I would like to see this in rural,
Yeah.
but houses are too close. I mean,
Right.
both Derek and I are like, we have neighbors right next to each other,
Right.
or our
And
neighbors
that's
are
all
right next to
addressed in
us,
the
so.
second portion of this.
Okay.
For you guys to like own a cow and you're living right top of each other is not
Yeah,
something that should happen, or be allowed.
yeah.
Yeah, they shared milk.
So how it will happen, let's say I wanna become a hobby farm, have a hobby farm, and I decided to have a couple of chickens. What do? I apply into the town, I go to the Board of
You
Health?
have to apply to the Board of Health.
And it goes through a process of an open meeting, and they invite my neighbors to come and see, what are you gonna do?
That's what, if we approve this or the zoning part of it.
Zoning part would come in the second phase.
But this process of going before the Board of Health comes with this one?
Yes.
It does, okay. All right, so there is
So
some.
there are no surprises.
It just doesn't make sense to me not to have the zoning part also included, because people
Yeah,
may be voting on just this and not understand, okay, there is a zoning part of it too. And I'd hate to put this out, but then later on visit the zoning, because,
no, I think we gotta do them both at the same time.
yeah, it would
right?
have to be with each other, concurrent with each other.
So if we do it in June, the June meeting, right, we'd have both on the warrant.
Yeah.
So we could, so you could explain it.
With the understanding that this has to be approved,
Right.
and then the zoning
Yeah,
would accompany it, but not doing the zoning immediately
The
with
second part
it.
of it gets down into what, like Tammy was trying to say, gets down into how many animals you can have per acre of land,
Right.
providing that that parcel of land can support that animal.
Right.
So just because, let's take goats for instance, a parcel of land, 1 acre of land, you can have 4 goats on that land. But the caveat is, if it can support the life of those 4 animals. Okay?
So if you're-
you can't do
right.
that, then you can't have 4 goats, even though the program says, yeah, you can have 4 goats, but you have to be able to support all 4 goats off that 1 acre. And if you can't, because
Yeah.
part of it's wooded,
or wetlands, right? You have
Right.
75% wetlands on that
right,
1 acre.
then that
right?
means you can't sustain the
Yeah,
goats.
yeah.
What do you mean, you can't put goats on pallets and float them out?
Yeah,
And then it also breaks down that, this area of town, the rural area opposed to the village area, opposed to outskirts of town, or whatever, is all in the same.
okay.
The other concern that I have is as far as agricultural. And it says that basically all agricultural is accepted, but we have to look at marijuana, because marijuana can be considered agricultural. Now that comes up to a problem, because now that takes away some of our bylaws and contradicts. Because if you're saying you have the right to farm marijuana now,
Well, it's not saying marijuana, it's just
No,
saying
but it's
agricultural,
agricultural,
period. But
which could be marijuana,
it could, yeah. And
which I
maybe
think-
maybe we write it with the stipulation of
that should be excluded out, be
any hemp
special
product,
permit,
any hemp
right.
product, anything like
right? Because again, we don't want somebody throwing out a marijuana grow facility, right next to somebody and, say, inside the town,
And also, I know we've done this as a joke, but a solar farm doesn't exist either.
Right.
Well, that's not even a
Yeah.
thing, because it's not a farm.
But
that. They tried to address that, but it didn't fly.
I know.
Yeah, but maybe we should exclude
We
solar
can put
quote
exclusions
farms.
in there, solar farms,
Just to make sure.
marijuana,
Yeah,
I would exclude marijuana.
hemp products, stuff like that.
That can be addressed with special permits.
so what happens if we don't do this?
Nothing. We just deal with complaints as soon as they don't get resolved.
So how come they're not getting resolved now?
Because we have no bylaws or regulations
No power.
for any to pick up by dogs.
Oh, okay,
There's no way of controlling it, saying how many roosters somebody can own, or,
okay.
and
Not-
then somebody
not
goes to
here.
Tractor Supply, gets 10
Yeah.
chickens, and 5 of them are roosters, because, they didn't identify what they were actually getting, they just got 10 chickens.
A lot of people go out and buy animals and not know what they have. They
Yes.
don't know how to tell the rooster from the chicken.
And it's a
They
lot,
don't know how to tell
it's
this
very
from that.
difficult when they're a little tiny peep,
Mm.
you know, versus when they get older, and then you realize the characteristics have developed, you're like, okay, now that's a rooster. And you get some problems when you have that many roosters in
And
one
also, what it's
enclosure.
gonna do is gonna protect you from the people who think they want animals and all of a sudden don't want them, and they don't take care of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we need a vote for today?
I don't know, or you wanna have, we
So-
should get it
We're
reviewed
gonna have
and
legal
stuff.
review it
Yeah,
first.
we can have it reviewed. I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are proposing changes to the Board of Health that maybe they would entertain to fix and then bring back, or,
Well, I honestly would like to see the whole thing, you know, as a product together. You know, we have the right to farm here, but the zoning changes would also be needed addressed at the same time. And we need to exempt marijuana and solar,
Mhm.
and identify solar as not a farm, and marijuana will
So
be addressed.
why don't we do this?
by bylaw.
Why don't we do this? Why don't I take it back for a rewrite? Add in those items, and then we'll present this right farm section again with the attachment of the second portion.
Yeah, that'll be great. Because then now we're just talking about one thing and it's
Yeah, well, the other document is kind of like that,
fine.
but it gets everything down to detail.
But we can't deal with that part of it here, that's the planning board, right?
The zoning? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can look at it and
Right.
give a yay or nay, but, or,
No, but at least it would be a completed document.
yeah, yeah.
Because I hate to see this pass and us not follow up with the zoning,
Yeah.
you know, immediately, because people like, oh, no. And then they do what they want,
Yeah.
because this gives them the right to do it.
Yeah.
And they say, well, no, it says I can own as much livestock as I want. There's nothing saying what I can't and can't own. It just says I have the right to own it now. And then they say, I'm grandfathered. You can't do anything.
So is there a way to make it, if this passes and the zoning doesn't, that this doesn't take effect? Does that make sense? Because we don't want this to pass
Yeah,
if the
the-
other
yeah,
fails.
the other.
Right, they have to
They
pass
have
together.
to pass as a
It's
package.
either both or none.
So can you do language like that, or?
I'm sure, yeah.
In
I'm
the
sure you
article,
can,
maybe?
yeah. Yeah.
You know, town votes to approve right to farm bylaw
Mhm.
in conjunction with associated zoning bylaws, or I don't know, but some
Sure.
way to word it.
Yep.
But other than that, I think it's a great idea. We need to do it. It has to be done. Just, we gotta make sure that we do it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause you know somebody is gonna be, that's savvy to it and reads it, like, oh. And they're gonna work the system, so, and we're not gonna have any recourse at that point.
Yeah.
Because if we have to vote for the town bylaws, say 6 months later, it's a whole lot of time to do whatever you want,
Mhm.
so.
So I think you're in the right direction. We need this, at least I support it,
Oh, yeah.
we support it. And just gonna give you some homework.
Chase me away.
No, it's a great idea. We need to do it.
We need to do
As
it.
Tammy said, we
Just-
have to have it done. It just,
We'd
let's
have-
make sure we get it right.
We'd have to do this at the annual too, right? Because planning board needs at least like 3 months, because we have to advertise, we have to hold 2 hearings, 2 weeks apart. All
On
that
bylaw
stuff.
change?
Yeah, for a zoning bylaw change. I don't know that we could do, could
We're
this,
not in a rush to get this in place.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wanna
just-
do it, I wanna get it done, but I wanna get it done right.
yeah,
I don't wanna have to rush and then all of a sudden we have all these problems.
yeah.
That's one of the reasons why it should be going up to all the boards, for everybody to comment on it. But red line, if you don't want this, take this out, you wanna add this, add that into it. If it doesn't make the annual meeting this year, it's not a big deal. It's just, right now, it's a work in progress.
So, a couple other things that I don't know if you've addressed fines.
Yes,
It's in the
Fines
second
addressed in the
packet.
second packet? Okay, because we wanna make sure the fines are addressed and that they're proportionate.
It says $300, right?
Well, that's for one, that's the
Okay.
first thing. But if you're giving somebody a $5 fine, but the license is $30.
well, basically, it starts
You
off
know?
with a written warning, and then it goes from there, you know, it's a graduated process.
Yeah, progressive.
Right.
And then the other thing is you need to define, I don't know if you did in the second document, what commercial and hobby farms are.
It's in the second part.
But the fines go back to the town bylaws, not the zoning bylaws, right? Because in zoning bylaws, you don't have fines. Those are part of the town bylaws. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, depending on,
So there might be like
You
a
know,
couple
Three
articles
documents, three
that
separate
have to be
documents.
passed to
Yeah.
get this.
I mean, there would be
Correct.
fines, you know, if you're in violation of a special permit, those types of fines.
But
are-
that would be the,
Aren't
that would
those in-
go under the,
That's in that
the
book.
building,
Right.
the building commissioner would have to enforce that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because the planning board doesn't enforce fines, the
Right.
building
No.
commissioner does.
yeah, exactly.
Which then goes into, why would he deal with agricultural if he's the building commissioner? Why wouldn't it go
Well,
to
he's
animal
al-
inspector or animal control?
He's also the zoning enforcement officer, so he could theoretically, if there was a zoning irregularity or a zoning violation, he could address that as well.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It just, because he's building, he's not dealing with the animals. Yeah, I think we have some homework to do.
Basically, it all comes back to the board of health.
So if it's gonna be enforcement, then it should be the Board of Health enforcing the fines.
Yeah. And that's where it's all being driven from.
Understood, thank you very much. Anything else before we let this guys go? No, we're good? Mr. Ferrer?
So it's my understanding this will go back to the Board of Health and we'll wait for some revisions, and then when we get the revisions, we'll get it on an agenda, and you guys will review it, have some comments, and then after that meeting, we will send it to town council.
Right, and what I'd like to get, since you each have a copy of it now, make your notes on it to see what you'd like included in it. That way there, I'm not missing something, so we don't have to keep going back and going back.
So I think you got everything we need, right?
Sure. I got
We
the
could just send
two
them-
big ones.
You send them the revisions, clarify right to farm, as far as like commercial and hobby farm. If that's already in there, then no good. And then excluding marijuana facilities.
Marijuana and solar.
And solar.
If any solar farms are not actually a farm.
You could do wind farms too. I mean,
Yeah.
Any
anything,
wind?
you know,
And then it's mechanical use.
yeah.
Solar, wind, or any energy producing product.
Yeah.
Hydraulic?
Hydraulic farm.
I don't
Well, hydraulic would be more of a power plant.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah.
Thermal energy, hydroelectric.
That's all power.
Geothermal.
Power generation.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have review and discuss a letter of interest submitted by Lisa Boucher to serve on the Parks and Recreation Commission until the town election, May 6, 2025, anticipated vote. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Anything to say before we discuss it? No? Weren't you in there before, right?
Yes.
For 7 years?
Mhm.
So you're back, or you
I'd
want to
like
be
come
back?
Yes, I did step down due to some personal reasons. Those have been resolved, so I'd like to come back.
And we obviously haven't filled that position, right?
No.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the position has been posted for over 30 days, and Mr. Boucher was the only person that I received a letter of interest from so far.
Okay,
I'm good.
Yeah,
you're good? I'm
Yeah.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
good.
let's do it.
Okay.
She's done it for 17 years. I think she can work on it a little longer.
Want a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Lisa Boucher to serve as, on the Parks and Recreation Commission until the town election for May 6, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye?
Rich Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion passes. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So Lisa, you have to get sworn in by the town clerk before you can officially start.
Okay, okay,
She'll have all the information on Monday morning.
okay. Is she here tomorrow?
Nope,
Oh, Monday?
that's by Monday morning.
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
Next, we have acceptance of a state grant in the amount of $201,054 with no matching funds required from the Department of Energy Resources, Green Communities Division, and to authorize the town administrator to sign on behalf of the town. Anticipated vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This evening is a letter that we received from the Department of Energy Resources from the state. The town has been awarded, as you indicated, $201,054 for a Green Communities grant to address green initiatives at the senior center and here at the Shepherd Building. It is our plan to install new heat pumps and a new HVAC unit at the senior center, as well as weatherize the entire building and weatherization here at the Shepherd Building as well. We are estimating that the heat pump system is going to cost us $107,123. The weatherization at the senior center is going to be $20,983, and the weatherization at the Shepherd Building, $67,948. This is all going to be paid for through a grant through the state. We'll be working with our expedited handlers that handle this energy and did our energy audit in these two buildings. They are approved by the state and by Eversource and National Grid as an expedited deliverer of these services.
Very good. It's awesome. It's really awesome that we the town don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Good job.
Yep.
And it's about time with the senior center being able to get some stuff done over there.
Yeah.
We're
So,
doing some beautification over there. Now let's get them nice and comfortable.
right. So we got some exterior building project, that was done last year. We got this now with some heat and energy savings, some cost saving initiatives. Obviously, this is gonna save us on some energy costs on both buildings moving forward. And then also, we haven't heard yet back, but we're working very closely with Representative Smola and Senator Oliveri on a possible earmark for a roof, a new roof. So, that would complete, that whole building down there. And we're working in the kitchen as well for updating some updates on the kitchen project that is ongoing right now.
Okay, when's that gonna be done?
I would say by November.
Okay. Is it just permitting and everything?
Well, no, there's been a change in the original scope of work. The dishwasher now turned into a stove, as well as side tables now. There has to be side tables put in, There's gonna be a thing of construction that has to be, there's cabinets that have to be taken out, some demo work has to be done, some countertops have to be taken out, some flooring may have to be shored up, painting has to be done. It's a lot more involved than just putting in a dishwasher.
Sounds like can of worms is what it.
Usually is with old buildings.
So we're working on it. We have the estimated quotes and everything ready to go. I'm working with Sharon right now to identify all the funding sources. We have 20,000 reserved from ARPA. That was reserved a long time ago for just the dishwasher, but she wants to incorporate all these other things, and just to get that particular type of dishwasher that she wants, which is a stand-up, ventless, upright dishwasher, as opposed to what is currently in there. It's a totally different model that's in there. It's an under-the-cabinet one that's in there now. So this is a totally stand-up, upright, ventless dishwasher that has to be retrofitted into a kitchen that has never had one before.
Well, it's a commercial dishwasher for, I believe there's code for making sure you have a commercial dishwasher. Yeah. So the one that we had in there was not gonna cut it.
So it's like a regular residential one, I take it? under
No, the one that's in there now is a commercial grade.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's on the smaller
It was
scale.
little commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a real high power, stand-up upright, ventless dishwasher.
So they're actually gonna have a commercial kitchen over there now.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Good. Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
We need a motion?
Yep, I'll do a motion. And I'll make a motion to accept the state grant in the amount of $201,054 and authorize the town administrator to sign on behalf of the town.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye. Motion approved. Thank you, sir. Very good. Next, we have a review and discuss a proposed agreement for the use of a comfort search dog K9 between the town and police officer Brian Fitzer. Anticipated vote.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this was the agreement, or MOU, if you want to call it, between the town and Officer Pfister that I was asked to put together for the use of a comfort/canine search dog known as Luna. It is put together. I just received an email and a phone call from Officer Pfister, who apologized. He couldn't be here this evening. He got his dates confused. He didn't think it was this evening, thought it was next week. And he would also like to have a little bit further of a discussion regarding this arrangement. So I would respectfully ask that this be tabled until next week.
I'm okay, table it. You guys okay?
Yeah, did legal already review this?
Yes, they approved it.
Okay.
So the town would have no liability if Luna bites somebody or something like, right?
So, the situation that was described to me, that how this was gonna transpire, was that Luna was going to be owned by Officer Pfister.
Yeah.
And if Luna is going to be owned by Officer Pfister, then it's Officer Pfister's responsibility to supply and name the town in a general liability insurance policy.
Okay.
However, if the town was to own the dog, then, and be responsible for it, then the town would fall under Maya, and we would have coverage under Maya. Since it's being owned by Officer Luna, Maya will not cover it, and he would be required to get his own proof of, or his own insurance, and to show us proof. And the insurance coverages are quite large, so it's $1 million, $3 million. And so, those policies are not cheap.
Yeah.
I've had a very frank and open discussion with Officer Pfister about going down this road and the costs and the responsibility
Yeah.
about taking on this type of initiative, and the exposure that he could potentially have. So, you know, if the dog was to bite somebody, and you know, this is a big if the dog was to bite somebody, you know, the town would more than likely also be named in the suit, even though it's owned by Officer Pfister, but
Yeah, he's acting as,
we would have his insurance, and we would be listed under, you know, the insurance of him.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's a big responsibility. This is the way in which it was, you know, described as to how the, you know, the system is gonna get set up. You know, I don't know if the officer is fully comfortable with everything in here as of yet, so.
oh, okay.
It's different because with Murray, the dog we had before, that dog was owned by the town,
Right.
so it was different.
Do you have an idea how much we're talking about if we own the dog?
If we own the dog, then we would have to have, you know, kind of the chief kind of like budget it out to see how much it would cost to, you know, to fully fund everything. I'm not sure if the chief, you know, has that in his budget, or if he's, you know, if he's wanting to put that in his budget. But
But
then
how
certainly
much is it?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know. I can certainly ask him to see if he can put together a proposed budget and what it would cost, and see, you know, see what happens.
I want them to understand that I don't think any of us against, you know, having a emotional support or comfort dog. I think it's a great idea. It'd be a great asset. But we need to dot our I's and cross our T's on something like this, because, you know, it's a big responsibility, and he needs to know that, you know, if the dog did bite somebody, especially going into a school and bites a little kid, not that we're saying it would, but it could happen, and we could be in some trouble if we don't make sure everything's done right here. And has he had a chance to read this?
He did stop by the office earlier in this week, and he didn't seem to have a problem with it. But when I had a phone conversation with him about an hour or so ago, you know, I emphasized the fact that, you know, to make it abundantly clear to him that, you know, this is a big responsibility, and this is a lot to be put on you. Are you sure you want to do this? And you know, I'm not trying to discourage him by any means, but I want him to realize what you know, big responsibility this is, and to be clear that, you know, if something was to happen, he could be sued.
You know, it also has, the dog's not to be transported in a cruiser, right?
It doesn't say. It says the owner's responsible for all of that.
So, the other thing I think that's missing is, what if he lets the insurance lapse?
Well,
What if he gets it like the first year, and then the second year he just doesn't renew it?
So what happens is we get an insurance binder, and it'll have an end date.
Okay.
So it'll be valid usually they're valid for a year, and then, you know, on that year, we would say, hey, we need another insurance one, or else the dog can't come in.
So he'd have to
Okay.
pay for that insurance for the year.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just do like monthly payments and say, oh, I'm not gonna pay anymore.
Well, I mean, we would get a notice of cancellation because we're an additional insured.
It might be good to spell out in here, if insurance is not paid, or he decides not to continue,
Mhm.
what happens? Like, the dog can't be at the police station at all, can't be in any vehicles, can't go to any scenes, right?
Mhm. Sure.
Well,
Just
the dog
as-
shouldn't be transported in a cruiser anyways.
Okay, it doesn't
There's
say
no-
that anywhere in
Right,
here.
no, but it shouldn't, because there's no safe place for the dog to be transported in the cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
And it could do damage to ruin the seats, because the seats are material, and canine claws will dig in those seats, could ruin them, even with street seat covers. And then you can't put anybody in the back of that cruiser, because if you have somebody that's allergic to animals, you can't lock them in the back of the cruiser now, because it's been contaminated with animal hair and saliva and everything else in there.
So how would you I mean, you could put the dog in a crate, but then what vehicle do you,
Well, even in a crate, you can't put it in a cruiser, because
So
there's no
how would-
room in the crate.
how's he gonna transport the dog
Well,
then?
that's where he'd have to figure that out, because he can't put it in the cruiser.
And then what does that do to his
Or
auto
or
insurance
they'd have to
policy?
get, or they'd have to get a specially retrofitted vehicle for animal purposes, a canine vehicle.
So-
That's why Murray had a canine vehicle,
Yeah, okay.
because it had fans back there cooling the dog. If it got too hot back there, the fans would automatically turn on and cool down Murray, keep him comfortable, so he has constant air circulating in the back. It was steady for his paws. There was no spots where if he stepped on a brake, the dog would slide off and get hurt, because it was just a platform back there.
Yeah, okay.
So there was special alterations made to the vehicle to make sure that the dog was safe. You can't just stick a dog in the back of your car and,
Maybe,
you know, I'm all for it. I'd love to see it, but we have to think beyond just the dog and the great aspect of having a dog.
Can we,
There's a lot more logistics to it
can we reclaim that canine vehicle from,
than what she gonna have.
I don't know what she's using now?
Well, then you get back into, because you took away the stipend from her.
Yeah.
And then what if she does have an animal that she needs to transport? She can't transport in her own vehicle. That's why she was given that vehicle,
Right.
because animal control can't do it in their private vehicle, because now you're dealing with a dog that's seized by the town being transported in a private vehicle by an employee. If something happens to the dog,
could we
or
find out
animal.
how much it will cost the town to insure the dog, just to have the numbers? Can we find out how much it will cost, maybe from the chief, how much it will cost to
well, we don't own the
appropriate?
dog.
No, I understand,
But just,
I
Still.
just wanna see how, so when we're talking, we can mention numbers.
So in order for us to insure it, we would have to own it.
Right.
well,
Okay.
let's assume we own it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, is it $1,000 a year, or is it like 100,000 a year? You know, like.
that's what I wanna
we need
find out.
Some sort of number, right?
And how much it will cost to have one of the cruisers be appropriate for a
That's a
canine.
specially bought
Or
vehicle.
per, yeah, what would a,
You'd
what
have
a
to buy a
canine
whole new
vehicle?
vehicle for that purpose.
Yeah.
Well, let's have the chief find out.
Okay.
Is it a vehicle, or if it is a custom thing or something? Because then we can,
Are there
I mean-
used ones available, you know?
It's a hot commodity.
Yeah.
They're rare, not everybody has them, and they're hard to get.
Hmm.
I know the government, you know, there's a waiting list to get those vehicles,
Okay.
so, because there's not a lot out there. There's usually just regular cruisers,
Yeah.
because they have to run some electrical harnesses for the fans, the doors are different,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
there's hydraulics in the doors, so.
okay, so he will come back? He will show up at next meeting?
I will ask, yep.
Okay, and maybe we can get some numbers, so at least we know what we're talking about.
Sure.
And I know it's far off, but I know he wants to keep it as his own pet. But maybe if we wanna have one of these comfort dogs, maybe the town buys their own comfort dog. Or buys the dog from them,
Yeah.
and we own it.
I mean, that's a possibility that you could, you could sell the dog to the town. you know,
'Cause at
for
any
like
point-
$1.
Any point, we can go through all this, get a new vehicle to say, if we did that, spend all the money for getting a new vehicle, do everything that we're gonna do.
I totally know what you're gonna does.
and then he leaves with the dog.
He leaves with the dog.
And there's nothing we can say.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we just spent all this money for this dog, and you just left with it now.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would require a commitment from the police department that they're taking on this responsibility of a dog. And, you know.
I don't think that's a hard commitment for any of those officers. I'm sure a lot of them would jump on that, because that's one of those positions people would love to do. I'd say half that department wants to have a canine.
Well, no, I mean, besides just taking care of the dog and having the dog as its, owner, but this would also be the responsibility of the department to budget and to have the resources they need to maintain and keep the dog.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear, the board is not in a position, and we're trying to do it right.
Right.
So if we find out numbers in a little bit and all the options, even the option of doing nothing, then we can talk about, because if we just say, oh, you can't use one of the cruisers, for him, that means, oh, I need to spend 50 grand on a car or something like that,
Mhm.
right? But if we know the numbers, now we can put everything on a balance and see where we're going. 'Cause like David said, we're not opposed. We want to help. Let's just do it right.
Okay, I'll have a conversation with the chief tomorrow.
We gotta think of the safety of the animal too, because you can't just throw the animal in the back of a car and say, hey, here we go. We, like you said, we support it, let's just do it right,
Yeah.
And then the other thing we gotta look at, I had one more thing. If he is gonna transport that dog in his own private vehicle, which it's his private dog, he can do that. If he wants to put it in his own private vehicle, it's just when he puts it in a town vehicle, there's a problem. But if he puts it in his own private vehicle, what is his status now? Because is he driving his own private vehicle as a police officer? And is he gonna be expected to respond to calls in his private vehicle?
Is it gonna, yeah. And-
Because now we get another can of worms, because you can't be having him respond to calls in his own private vehicle.
Mhm. No, I mean, no, you can't be doing that, but, you would have to make some type of, the town would have to invest in some type of transportation for this dog. I
Right,
mean,
but now we're getting into a commitment, a financial commitment,
Yeah.
which I could see Ray sitting there, his wheels are turning, because we're getting into a financial commitment for a dog we don't even own.
Yeah. And back to your point, I don't know if Brian has thought about, if he calls up his auto insurance company and says, hey, I'm an officer in Warren, I have a police dog, I'm gonna be transporting this dog, what are my coverages need to be? And I think that they're gonna either not insure it, or it's gonna be super expensive.
Well, just the
Right.
general liability coverage, I would imagine is gonna be in the thousands.
Yeah, and I don't know if that would cover really the auto itself and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, I think it,
The
there's a-
liability may cover if the dog bites somebody, but
Right.
what if, just the fact that he's driving to a scene, he has the dog in the car, he's acting as a policeman, it's his own personal car.
No, he
blah,
wouldn't be
blah, blah.
able to drive with his own personal car to a
Right,
scene.
but
of
these
a
are
crime.
things we need to spell out
Yeah.
in this,
There's a lot
and
of,
say, hey, no, you can't do this, and no, you can't put the dog here. So how's the dog gonna get from point A to point B?
He talked about some type of crate system that is there.
but it still is,
Can't put it in the back of the cruiser.
So,
yeah, minimally you'd need an SUV, well, I guess that's what we have anyway, right? But still, there'd have to be enough headroom for the crate, and
You can't put it in the back because there's lock boxes in the back. So you can't put it in the back. And then in the seat, if you can't put the dog in where passengers are gonna be, even on that side compartment, because they have where they can put prisoners in a little side compartment, even having saliva and stuff going in there, transfer fluids, what if the dog pees in the back of the car?
I think these are all great questions that, you know, can be asked by the chief and to the,
That's why you
to the
don't trans,
Feister.
that's why you don't transport prisoners in a canine vehicle. Because a canine vehicle is specifically designed for that animal.
So maybe something Brian could do is call Joe LaFlower. I don't know what he's in Florida now, right?
Well, there's plenty of canine, well,
Well,
there's
but-
canine officers all around.
Yeah, but I mean, he was in the town, he worked with, obviously, Chief Millette.
But I think they
Yeah.
got donations for that vehicle too.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because he was out, they were selling the little, the
Mm-hmm. Little dogs, stuffed animals.
They were selling stuffed animals, they were running events, they were doing, you know, all kinds of things to benefit for the dog, for the vet bills, and raised money, they got donations from different businesses to purchase the vehicle. And that's how they raised all that money. The town didn't just say, okay, we're gonna do this. He did all that effort, and he did it all on his own. And that's how it came to fruition.
Yeah, maybe there's some grants or something for this, I don't know, you know?
That's what he mentioned at the last meeting, that
Yeah.
he plans on
Pay for
going
some of the
after
training,
grants or something.
maybe pay for a vehicle or part of a vehicle, or, I don't know.
It's a big commitment for
It
either
is.
Officer Feister or the town.
Yeah.
And I know West Brookfield just did it, and people are like, well, West Brookfield did it, but again, are they asking the questions we're asking about it, or did they set themselves up for failure over there too? So, and that's different town, but let's do it right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what he needs to do, is call around to different towns who have this and just see what they've done, how they've handled it. You know, all the ins and outs.
And if it's supported, and he just wants this dog to be his personal dog and train it the way he is, maybe the town can still move forward, put it on as an article, purchase a vehicle, and get an emotional support dog, and maybe resource officer. Because I know there's grants out there for resource officers. Maybe it could be emotional support and canine type resource officer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then this way we can get somebody in the schools, because the dog is for the schools, right?
Well, I think,
To be out there.
I think that's a lot of the, you know,
The selling
majority of what he's looking to do is bring it to the schools and have it interact with the students.
Which would be a perfect thing for a school resource officer.
So maybe the school buys the dog.
Which then
And
they're
the
gonna
car.
up the
And
budget
the car.
next time they ask.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay,
either
so
way we pay.
We have a plan.
Yes. I would ask that this be tabled until at least next week's meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. Next, we have warrants and bills.
Okay. I'll make a motion to pay the fall warrants. PR 09 for the amount of $67,008.16, and AP 10 in the amount of $1,472 and $309.68. Or, yeah.
It's hard to read those big numbers.
Obviously, I don't have $1 million in my bank account, so.
Don't ask me. I said in Spanish. Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye. Motion approved.
I'll make a motion to pay the following bills. WB Mason, $29.88. Weston and Sampson, $20,106. Verizon, $23.88. Power Products, in the total amount of $3,640.
Do we have it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll second, but what's Power Products?
So Power Products is our maintenance contract that we have that maintenances all our town generators.
No, okay. Second, I think I said second, so.
So we have a second. All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye. Motion passes. Next, we have to review and possible acceptance of any minutes.
On the minutes, you'll have to do the first one because David isn't here.
Oh, okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the July 11th, 2024 minutes.
Revised.
Huh?
It's revised.
Why is it? We haven't approved it yet, so how can it be
Yes,
revised?
you have approved it.
Oh, we
So,
did?
yeah,
Oh,
so,
what happened?
and these particular minutes, John O'Leary from Central Mass Regional Planning Commission had asked for a modification to be made to the public hearing comment period that will fully address the public performance hearing for the town's FY 23-22 CDBG block grant program to incorporate some of the changes that were proposed in the budget. The drainage.
So basically, he asked me to redo this little part.
Okay,
So I did it word for what he asked to be in. So it's revised.
okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the revised,
Amended.
amended minutes from July 11th, 2024.
Second,
Thank you.
are we in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye, and David Dufresne was absent that day.
And I'll make a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 minutes. Get a second?
Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye?
Rich Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Nope, you were absent.
I was absent? Okay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't notice that. All right,
Were those the 19th or the 22nd?
22nd,
22nd.
oh,
Okay, you
it says
said the 19th.
Because it's
19th.
on here as the 19th.
July 19th is the amended, August 22nd is the non-amended.
Well, July
There is no
11th
August-
is
There is
amended.
no
July
22nd.
11th is amended.
This says 19.
It just says 19th.
Sorry.
What did you make a
22nd.
motion for?
For the 19th.
Oh, you gotta redo that then.
Which one am I making the motion for?
22nd.
August 22nd.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for August 22nd, 2024.
Second,
All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
David Dufresne, aye?
I was
All
not
in
here.
favor? David Dufresne, aye?
Aye.
Two. Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, it's all my fault.
You're all the way over there, so I'm like. Town administrator,
That's it? Oh,
town administrator report.
Yeah.
okay, so next we have the town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good evening, everybody. Before you this evening is your monthly departmental report that you can take a look at. This will highlight some of the highlights within the various departments. This is provided to you every first of the Thursday of the month, and we'll continue this moving forward. This will highlight all of the highlights for August, for last month. I will just go over some of the highlights here in terms of the financial piece of it. As I indicated before, we will be having a financial report that will be given to you soon, but I do want to provide you with a little bit of a taste of some of the collections. So the total tax collections as of, tax bills were due August 1st for real estate and personal property, and total tax collections as of August 29th were $751,563.93. That is incorporating real estate tax at $510,569.28. Personal property, $168,576.19. Motor vehicle excise tax at $57,892.05. Interest and fees, $10,951.41. Sewer liens, $2,475, and registry clears of $1,100. will total, the total tax collections as of August 29th for $751,563.93. We are going over, obviously, within the financial department, we're going over all of the closeout, processes for fiscal year '24, whether it be through the accountant's office, the treasurer's office, collector's office, assessor's office. They're all very busy with all their own functions that are happening. With this report, this will go over, obviously, all the stuff that various departments have been working on. So, for example, Board of Health processed and reviewed the following permits: 15 food establishments, 6 tobacco permits, 7 trash hauler permits, 6 plumbing and gas permits, 3 septic installer permits, and issued 4 new septic installer permits. Completed the seasonal Cummins Pond water testing, and no bacteria exceedances were discovered. Discussed and approved the first step of the right to farm proposed bylaw and sent a copy to the Board of Selectmen for their review. So those were some of the highlights through the Board of Health in the month of August that they've been working on. For Council on Aging, we had interviews for 2 candidates for the position of part-time custodian and van driver. One candidate really emerged, Kevin O'Regan. He will be coming in on Monday to see if we could, put something together, and hopefully he will be in front of the board relatively soon for an appointment. But we're all these departments are working very hard on these initiatives that were listed here. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have for the month of August. Those are just some of the highlights that have been happening. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we collected 750,000 in one quarter
For the month of August, yeah.
for the month of August, or for
Right.
the first quarter of fiscal year?
Since, for the month of August.
Okay, that changes the calculation. Okay,
Well, we don't
so is
get-
that roughly the average? So we pull in 750,000 per month?
No, I mean, these will all, these fluctuate. I mean,
No,
that's.
I was just kind of, because I thought it was per quarter, and it comes out for a year, only $3 million, and we have a $10 million budget, right?
Right,
in the
right,
town. So
right.
I was like,
You know,
where's the
the-
rest of the money coming from?
Yeah, from what I understand, what the tax collector had indicated to me, is that some people, pay at different cycles,
Yeah, okay.
And so, although we encourage everybody to pay when the bills come out, but, some are on different cycles. So, we shall see more revenue coming in the next month. This is not to say that this is the revenue that we'll see every month. The revenue will fluctuate.
Yeah, okay. Hopefully it adds up to 10 million by,
Yeah.
okay.
Quick question, but I'm going back on the canine thing real quick. The insurance that he's paying, or if he's gonna get, is he looking for the town to reimburse him for that?
That was never discussed with me.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
because we might wanna clarify that too, that it's not reimbursable. Because I just don't want all of a sudden something popping up like, well, you guys gotta pay me this money back now.
Here's my bill that I got.
Here's my bill,
Again, what was.
non-reimbursement,
Right, right.
but we gotta clarify.
Right. What was described to me as, this is gonna be my dog, I'm gonna take full responsibility for it. That's what that agreement spells out, is that the responsibility, everything is
Yeah.
on
Right.
him.
But then that goes on, it's my dog, I'm taking responsibility for it, but I'm doing you a service.
Mhm.
So, let's clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there may be just add another sentence in one of those paragraphs. He's
Mhm.
gonna be responsible for food, vet bills, blah, 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 and insurance, and all
Which
insurance.
is the town is not responsible for reimbursing you for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Also, this week I want to provide an update. You know, it's kind of a disappointing update, but we had a schedule to have Comcast come out here this morning between 8 and 10. You know, we also had lined up our IT provider. They were here on site, ready to help in case they needed some assistance with Comcast with the conversion. And Comcast, you know, was getting closer to 10 and they weren't showing, so I had asked Karen to call them, and she did, and there seems to be that they're not going to honor the contract that we have signed. So I don't know why. They were supposed to call us back. They never did. So
It's a breach of contract.
yeah,
Yeah,
I will be calling them tomorrow to reach out to them, but we have a signed contract with them, and, you know, it was approved.
I would let them know, hey, you're obligated.
Yeah.
We've got a contract between us and you, and if we don't do this, we're gonna pass on the legal.
Yeah, that's a lawyer letter.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so, I mean,
And now we want, not only you caused us to miss an appointment, now we had to pay our IT to be here.
mhm,
So it cost us money because you guys are breaching your contract.
yeah,
So we
Yeah.
want damages.
Yeah, credit on the bill.
yeah. So, I will be working with them to see what we can, I don't know what the end result was or what the issue was, but we'll hopefully get them here soon and get the service up and running at a higher speed. Obviously, we're continuing to work on looking at risk management. Today, I had Maya in here for risk management to go over some of our loss ratios. As of right now, we're pretty good for our loss ratios. Yes, knock on wood. You know, so we're not on anybody's radar as of right now, but we're doing pretty good. There's some upcoming trainings that they're encouraging our departments to take and to participate in, and I will be encouraging them at our next department head meeting as well. And I've also asked the risk management team to come to the next 4 department head meetings to give a presentation about risk management and to give a presentation about, you know, the importance of trainings and how to go about the trainings and different things to that nature. And they've committed to doing that. So on October the 8th will be our next department head meeting, and they will be here at 9 o'clock to you know, take 15 minutes of the meeting to go over some stuff. So Maya is partnered with us on that. I've also talked with Maya to potentially host a regional training here in Warren, to be a host community, and to allow other communities to come to Warren. Maybe that can be done in the gym. We would have to look at some of the audio-visual stuff that, you know, could be set up down there, but basically they're just looking for a room that, you know, could house, you know, 30 to 40 people and tables and chairs, and they would provide lunch and everything for our staff and everything. So, you know, there's a possibility that we could have host a training here that we're looking into. And the FY25 Maya Risk Management Grant just came out. I will be applying for a risk management project for the town, so I'll be sending out some feelers to various departments that they're looking for to, that they're focusing in on risk management. And there's a few departments that they focus in on: highway, sewer, cyber, some police, that they look for risk management projects within those departments. So we're gonna look and work with those department heads to see if there's a grant that we could get. Last year, we were very successful, we were able to get like $5,000 for cybersecurity sonic walls for our fire, highway, and senior center. That was a good grant. So hopefully we can, come up with a project and get something done and paid for out of this grant too. So we're working on that.
Very good, thank you. Any more? Nope, you're good. New business. Do we have any new business?
I don't think so, no.
Nope. Old business.
The lines?
I spoke with Jeremy about that, and he said that he's looking to get Chapter 90 funds to pay for them. So he would be bringing in a private contractor to do those.
When?
He's not sure.
I'm gonna ask you every week.
All right.
Yeah, I heard that on the last meeting.
Right. What else do we have that we're following up with?
Those lines.
The lines. What else? Do you remember?
Website, I'm working on the.
Yeah, the website, we gotta-
Website, I'll have to do.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta get that
No,
fixed.
that's the 22nd, not the 29th.
Oh, that will help me, huh? There still might be something in
We
there.
have
Yeah, that's
a
line
couple
painting.
executives scheduled
Yep.
a month.
Any correspondence? I don't have any correspondence.
No, the only thing I seen on correspondence, not official, but people were on there looking at addressing some issues with the school buses, the vehicles flying past the school buses
Oh, yeah.
when they get the signs out. I did talk to Chief Millette and Lezak Bus Company about that, and they're working together to identify hot spots and do some enforcement on those hot spots. Unfortunately, the town's been extremely busy with law enforcement lately, and a lot going on. And some of this stuff is a little difficult to get to sometimes, but they're gonna try to address the hot spots and have officers around those areas. So if somebody does run past the bus or fly past the bus with the vans, that
Yeah.
they'll be stopped.
Sounds like a bigger problem with the vans.
Yeah, I believe because they pull over on the side.
Yeah.
So that kind of, that language allows the cars to go by even if they have the lights.
Well, I think people are confused because they see the lights, but they don't understand, yes, they need to stop.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I would
I
just
agree.
park the van in the middle,
Yeah, I would, yeah.
Right.
you know.
I mean, a school bus doesn't pull all the way over, school bus sits in the street,
Yeah.
so I,
Takes up both lanes.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're gonna end up in a ditch if you try to pass, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the roads, the way they're designed, they don't allow you that option, and
People
people ignore
have,
the sign.
everybody has his own universe. People sometimes have problems, they are thinking in their lives and they're not paying attention, they just wanna go from A to point B. And they see a bus that pull over, they just keep going. So, I hope they can fix it. I would like to see cameras on the buses. That would be nice.
Yeah, but they're private owned buses.
Yeah, but,
So-
you know, it will cover there for them too, because, you know, I have cameras on my
Well,
cars.
they have
and
cameras on the buses, but they don't have cameras recording
External.
outside the bus.
Those are the ones I'm saying, because, you know, if I get into an accident, I have a lot to show what happened. And same, they could see the car, you know, oh, it's a blue car, and you can, some cameras, you can even see the license plate.
Maybe there's some
Anyway,
sort of grant out there or some, well, even that, it's gonna be difficult because it's private.
It's private,
And
yeah.
I know Mr. Lezak, he's really good with taking care of his buses. He does a really great job and he really cares. So he was definitely supportive of, making sure the kids are safe. So, whatever we can do, I guess.
Those are
to make sure
the
the kids are
cleanest
safe.
buses I've ever been in.
Oh, yeah, his buses are beautiful. He takes care of them. Yeah. Speed sign, speaking of speed. The other day, that speed sign over by Rogers Farm probably needs to be moved.
It's in the wrong location.
It is,
Yeah.
because literally I seen a guy fly past it doing 45 miles an hour the other day that I was behind, and he, boom, right through it.
Yeah, the sign is where the speed limit sign is, it says 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's too late. It needs to be brought up
Right
further.
up in front
But
of the
even
car.
then, it's hard because you're coming around the corner and you don't gain speed till you're right there. So maybe put it on the left side of the road, more towards the middle, so people see it. Catches their attention a little earlier. Because once they get to it,
It's too late.
yeah, they're already there. And then the speed limit's going 40 anyways.
Yeah, it's like,
So-
oh, 40. Oh, yeah, I'm doing 40.
I don't think there's anything to put it on
There's
between the
poles on the
turn-
left-hand side of the road.
Okay,
Yeah, if you put it on the opposite side facing, you could still target the area. It's just, it'll be on the other side and you'll see it flash. So, yeah, it's just too far along.
Okay.
And it's, when you get around it, you have a light pole right there blocking the sign. So it really doesn't pick up your speed until you're on top of it. So it definitely has to be moved to the other side of the road.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
No.
We're gonna move, so that was for correspondence, I guess. Comments and concerns. Do we have any comments and concerns?
No.
No comments, concerns? What about the public? Yes, John?
Joe Conrad, resident. With the recent shooting in Georgia, once again, I have to remind gun owners to put a trigger lock on their weapon. If the weapon is not to be used recently, put it in a gun safe. You may not have kids. Maybe your neighbor has a kid that breaks into your house and takes your gun. You are responsible. I'm assuming that Superintendent Duff is scheduling active shooter drills for the school system, which will probably involve the police and fire department sometime in the near future. Pay attention. Active shooter, you lock the door. You can't allow this to happen. I have to assume there will be copycats. Because every time there's one of these shootings, within a month there's a copycat. Take the precaution. If you hear something, say something. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's actually a good point, because we do active shooter drills for the school, but we've never done one for the town hall. Maybe that's something we should incorporate in training, because, you know, you never know when somebody is there, and we don't want to be behind the par on that. We want to make sure our people are safe. So,
Good idea. Go for it.
and I know they definitely, they do active shooter drills at the school, and they do training there. And they're very good with that, and they're very responsive with it. And it's all agencies within the area, state police, West Brookfield, because when that call comes out, every single police officer that within calling range is coming. So,
Sounds good. Anybody on Zoom land?
No.
Nobody here either. Okay.
I think Jim,
Jimmy.
Does the townwide tag sales happen this weekend? The four maps can be purchased down at the common.
So tell everybody, how does that work?
Well, people are signed up, they're on a map. They get a map down at the common and they go around with all the different tag sales.
how much
So-
are the maps this year, $2 still?
Yeah. And they're sold only at the common.
So like if I wanna sell something at home, I go to the parks and say, oh, I wanna have a spot. They take my name, they put it on the map with the address. So when people, they pick by the maps, they will see people who have,
Yeah.
they're selling
Yeah, that's
stuff.
already, everyone's already been registered, the map's been.
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is so people can, you know,
Yeah.
have them know how it works.
And even what they are selling, so the major points of what they're
Oh,
selling.
and what they're selling, yeah, so also, you know, we may have some cars wandering around and,
Yes.
anyway, we've done this before. Yes, go ahead.
Also with that, we also have the toll going on
Mhm.
for the football and cheer. So please get out there and support our football and cheer teams. You know, if you have some spare change in your car, toss it in there, give it to the kids so they can get, you know, better equipment, run a little more events, get some stuff for them. If you have a few $100s that just happens to be sitting in your pocket and you want to get rid of, feel free to give it to the kids. It's a good cause. Let's support the sports and the cheer programs in our town. So.
Very good. That's it, nobody else? Next meeting is September 12th? Yes?
Sounds good.
And the best for the last,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye, we are adjourned.